So I've watched this, completely randomly. To be honest, I was merely trying to watch comedies generally, but somehow every single one I was watching was either letterbox. I swear I got about three letterbox movies in succession. Sometimes I don't know, at least a couple, and it was so frustrating. And I also need subtitles, and I got a couple, literally a couple of movies for subtitles. Yeah, it's so annoying when just you know, um, not synced. That's usually the problem, or this incredibly irritating problem. Where even if I try to sync it, somehow it always gets back out of sync again. Like how the hell? So anyway, I ended up, trying to search for movies until I found one where those problems weren't there. Neither of those problems were there. And so this was it. I never intentionally thought, watch anything specifically. Well, sometimes I do, I suppose, but rarely. Not these days, at least. Generally, I go just by genre. So this is generally genre. But as well, I could have easily watched 5 other movies before this one, if they didn't have those problems. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's a weird movie, although as weird as small as it may be. I mean, it's obviously quite obscure. Not many. Clearly, not many viewers at all, watchers at all. But the point is, though, yeah, I mean, despite that, I mean, it's slightly funnier than some I've seen recently. I don't know, maybe some labeled as comedy. I don't exactly. Rom-coms tend to be not exactly the most funny. This was slightly a rom-com, not exactly. I mean, obviously, it's nothing conventional. If anything, it happened in reverse or whatever, but it had elements, cliched elements of rom-coms, especially at the end, which was sort of annoying, because all this, by the book, by the book sort of formula, is annoying. Coloring by the numbers and such, like, coming back, and anyway, yes, and so anyway, it's, so, it's one of the most innovative movies, certainly. It began also really annoyingly, really horrendously. Like, who the hell was that guy at the beginning? I mean, he was just nasty enough for no reason. That immediately made me, I mean, for some people, it could even make them just switch off, because I mean, what is the point of that little bit at the beginning there? I just don't get it. Just, the guy is just like, doesn't even have a name. Not even sure, maybe he was just credited as nasty guy or something. So, I don't know. I don't know what the point of that was at the beginning. Like, otherwise, I didn't mind the interaction between her mom, who apparently was her real mom. I noticed. Not that they looked alike at all. Yeah, what's weird though, the one weird thing I noticed is that apparently she is the voice of Ursula in Little Mermaid. I had never seen Ursula in real life. I'm assuming her voice was slightly different back then. In fact, I know this fact. I need to go and see. Well, yeah, obviously it changed. Okay, this was like a couple of decades, wasn't it? After she must have voice. That was in the '80s, late '80s, I think. So that's some weird fact. Yeah, it's bizarre how, like, I didn't recognize any of the actors or actresses. Um, Apparently, most of them had articles, so they must be at least, moderately, despite not recognizing me. It's not like I've watched every single movie available. Obviously, I haven't, series or anything. I've watched even less series. But yeah, it's remarkable how I personally didn't. Not a single one. Did I? I mean, apparently the other sort of, the second female protagonist person, she didn't have an article to us. So anyway, yeah. Otherwise, still, the script wasn't, too bad in terms of comedy. It was just boring in some parts, like where they were introducing themselves. It's like I thought this was going to be 5 minutes of boredom, and it was, because ultimately it's just just strangers, and of course they'll be boring naturally. Like, I'm sure it'll be boring in real life as well if I was in such a situation. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird thing, It's like, I mean, it wasn't like the wildest sort of comedy or such. It wasn't, incredibly random. But so in that sense, the more it went, the more it became cliched, honestly. But it had these weird things that at the end there, where the car is parked again and they question themselves again. I mean, obviously the whole premise isn't quite that realistic. I mean, obviously there's no such thing as Jedi mind trick or whatever, and I'm sure a couple of people of their age would know at that point, if so it's not like But anyway, as a comedic premise, I suppose it sort of works, but it's still contrived. I mean, I'm not sure it was totally needed, especially at the end there, to do that, and all the conflicts, sort of contrived, and not so much contrived as, certainly they didn't add anything to the comedy, they certainly didn't entertain me or such, I mean, like, I know conflicts and relationships go hand in hand, but personally, I mean, there could have been slightly less of them, possibly, because, ultimately, they're just boring, really, for anyone who certainly has nothing to do with any of it, and it's all fictional, obviously, so of course no one would have anything to do with it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Otherwise, as a random movie, though, I mean, it was fine, I guess. It wasn't the funniest, but it wasn't the most boring either, and at least it seemed to be sort of filmed in high definition and such. So visually at least, because I'd just come from watching a movie a couple of decades old. It's not a couple of decades, is it? So, like, I'm pretty sure I watched, like, I suppose there might be remastered movies from decades ago, many decades, which appear to be really well made, but somehow they couldn't do the same for movies even later than that. So that was old. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's just, otherwise, so it reminded me a bit of reality TV. Obviously, it wasn't scripted, but that's what reality TV sometimes do, and they tend to be boring. Obviously, since it was scripted, and so I mean, I guess obviously it would have more potential to be comedic when it's scripted. Otherwise, it would be more boring. But, anyway, so yeah, it was okay. Ultimately, not. I mean, incredibly really funny or anything. It was just and it could be cliche as well, so something. So yeah, whatever.